Steve Evans, we'll start with Stockport this weekend. We've had the conversation previously that Stockport are one of the best teams in this division and they're coming with a real surge. This is going to be a hard game for you.
Oh, it's extremely tough. You know, I think I said last week about Bradford, you know, the resources, the size of the club, the fan base all says should be much higher in the football pyramid. And I think Stockport County comes into that for me, you know, since they had the change of ownership, maybe a couple of years ago, I think it is. They went into the conference, they got Dave in, and out at Hartlepool, they convinced a club legend to go back. He'd fantastic side in the National League, and has come up into League Two. I think they tried to change identity a little bit, but they're back to it. They've made some wonderful signings in the January window to add to a fantastic squad. So a real tough place for us to go on Saturday. But hey, listen, there's not an easy game in League Two. I think results showed that again on Tuesday, showed it at the weekend. There's no easy games. And we're looking forward to it. You know, I think when you feel that in the last 2 or 3 games, I have to be careful what I say, but the bottom line is the decisions have been awful and apologies accepted and we move on. But when you're on the back end of them, then we'll take what happens up at Stockport, providing it's Stockport that beat us and not the man in the middle.
Well, we'll come on to referees in just a moment. But Dave Chandler, he seems to be getting them playing the way they were when they got promotion last season, and that's very, very difficult.
Well, they've gone to that style, haven't they? And they've gone out in any weaknesses that they had in the first part of the season. They've either got those players back from injury, which is 2 or 3 of them, and then the other alternative is they've gone and bought them, as they've done with the strikers. So from that point of view, they're full of good players. They've got a good system. They'll be tactically very aware. But, you know, we've got good players. We're tactically aware, but we've got different systems that we can deploy. So it's got the hallmarks of a really exciting game in League Two.
You were hoping to have 2 players back in Terence Van Kooten and Jake Reeves. Is that going to be possible?
Yeah, it's possible. We'll see if they can. You know, the plan is them to do some field-based work with the medical team this morning. And if they do that, we'll train here before we travel tomorrow. So they'd obviously have to come through the session with the medical team, flying colours, and train with us in flying colours. And if that's the case, both are incredibly fit. They've missed no more than 10 days of football. So they would be immediately in our thoughts at Stockport. So, but we've got no issue here in terms of numbers, in terms of squad depth, in terms of options. We just have to make sure that we get it right.
Right, moving on to referees and refereeing. There's a perception around at the moment that the refereeing standards are poor. If that's the case, how does football put this right?
There's a perception or reality, and it's always the case, isn't it? Listen, I haven't done a lot of thinking about, in particular, you know, there's some very good referees, Premier League, Championship group, Select Group, Leagues 1 and 2, there's some excellent referees. And we've been fortunate, we've had a lot of them this year. Unfortunately, everyone focuses on the poor referees, the big bad decisions, if you like. And if they're very frustrated in the Premier League, which they are, and the Premier League themselves have come out as an organisation and said, we're disappointed in the refereeing standards. And on top of that, if you come into Leagues 1 or 2, the standards are even more alarming. So as much as I think, and someone's banging their boots here, as much as I think Richie Sunak has got a tough job to turn this country around, and as much as my beloved Scotland is just about to change First Minister and they're going to have a tough job, I think the people who head up the referees, Mike and Alan, and ultimately by Howard Webb and still Mike Riley, I think they've got a challenge that's unprecedented, because from a management point of view, and I'm not talking Stevenage Football Club here, I'm talking across Leagues 1 and 2 with my fellow colleagues, there is a real alarm bells about the standards that's been applied.
Do you, as managers in the League Managers Association, do you have regular contact with the Referees Association? Do you swap ideas and concerns? Yeah,
listen, you have it twice a year. They give you the rules at the start of it. They give you any intermediate changes through the season. Listen, I think that the one frustrating will never ever go away in football unless it's a manifest change, is that managers and coaches and players have to come out and explain as to why they've picked a team, why they've got it wrong, why you win, why you've lost. And referees can go in the car and drive home and never think about it. And we were really honoured 2 weeks ago that a referee told us before the game that he'd come all the way from Blackpool to referee us and could we hurry up. So we're really honoured. So that's, if we're you know, and that's a full-time referee, that's his job, occupation. I wonder what my chairman, if he was in here for a meeting and I said, Chairman, could you hurry up? I've got to get back, watch kids. I think, the grandkids, I think he'd be alarmed. So we just need to address the standards. They need to get the big calls right. But I'll summarise it by saying we want them right in League 1 or 2 and the frustrations it brings, Neil. But if you look at the Premier League, look at the Arsenal game, the Ivan Toney goal, and I want Ivan to score every game. I love the kid and he knows it. You beat Mikel Arteta this morning. I'm telling you, as much as he would have been annoyed and hurting after the Brentford game the next day, it's 2 points, it's everything else. When they've lost to Manchester City last night, he won't think about the quality of Manchester City in that second half as his first thoughts. His first thoughts will be, we should be 2 points nearer or above Manchester City. We're game in hand. That's where they should be. But they couldn't even get that right with the benefit of TV pictures. So we have to take what we get. We have to take what's there. I have the greatest empathy and sympathy. I'm speaking to Mike, the head of referees, on the way back from Newport. I think his arms are almost, we're speaking on the phone, but I can imagine him looking like this and saying, what do you want me to do? It's a red card. What do you want me to do? It's not a penalty. What do you want me to do? We educate our referees and coach them and make them better to get those decisions right in the future. That's great, but it just seems to be a lot of them happen at key times of the season for every club. Not just us. I'm not mourning for us. We've had decisions go in our favour that I've sat in the office with opposition managers and said, we shouldn't have got that. But I'll tell you how it feels at the minute if you're my players and you're me. If you want a free strike at our goal from the penalty spot, just play against Stevenage. Because we just seem to get up, they just seem too keen to give penalties against us. And that's a generalisation, not a specific. But it seems to be, if I want to begin seeing giving a penalties, wait till I get Stevenage, then I'll give the opposition a penalty. You know, people go and look at that Stoke game, tell me it's a penalty. People go to Newport, tell me it's a penalty. They're just horrendously bad decisions. And sometimes, as my captain said the other night when we were together, he just said it, sometimes it feels personal.
Graham Potter said something along the lines of talking about a decision that had gone against him, but he says, I'm not going to criticise the referees because they're human, they do make mistakes, you know, and we're all different and we're all inherently flawed, if you will. I mean, you said you've got sympathy for them, so it's a tough job for them. Listen,
I don't like refereeing little games here when we have 8 and 9 aside with the boys here. You give a decision, you know that 4 or 5 in opposition don't think it's a foul and others do, so it's a very judgmental call. But you know, we've always said to referees, I always believed that, and it's quite interesting, a few of the Premier League managers are now saying it, we don't really care about free kicks on the halfway line. Yeah, we'll all throw our arms up and want a foul, we'll all want the throw in, we'll all want this, but big decisions that impact on the game. Someone tell me that that's not a red card for the challenger of my goalkeeper at Newport. Because no one can tell me it's not. Because I've had a couple of referees, albeit local referees, but looked at it and went, it's just late and it's dangerous and it's a red. Not even spoken to. That's alarm bells. That's someone physically getting hurt. But what do the referees, coaches have to do? Work harder, make them get to the angles better, get them a little bit fitter. But our 2 worst referees that we've had this season have just come from the select group. They're earmarked for the Premier League. Oh dear. Good luck, Howard.
The problem, obviously, the referees have got is they're saying there's a shortage coming through the grassroots, which means the ones coming out the top end, there's even less to pick from, type of thing. So
yeah, I want to repeat, there's a lot of good referees from the top level. You know, I look at Andrew Mariner. I look at him. I've known Andrew since he was non-league. It's that long ago. But I look at him, just simply top class. The guy who's come in to head it up now, Howard Webb. You know, I got to know Howard reasonably well because he's a big Rotherham fan, Rotherham person. So in the success we had at Rotherham, we spent a lot of hours together. But when I watched him referee, I never noticed him. I never noticed him until afterwards. When you notice, you know, Andy Dossel, who's now one of the coaches, Premier League, you might get criticised by a select group of Chelsea fans if they're playing Spurs, they gives a foul, whatever. But when you went as a neutral, you didn't notice him. The problem they got, the neutrals that come to the games at the minute are noticing them, whether that's the Premier League or the way down. But they've got to be coached. But I think the wonderful news is we've got Howard Webb in, and Howard is the highest of standards. When have we ever seen recently where the organisation has come out and said our standards have fallen, they're not good enough, they were poor, and we need to put them right? how do we ever sort it? I've got and Mike and Alan at the EFL. They'll sort it. They're minded to sort it. They don't want to keep apologising. Not just to me. I've read of other managers. You know, Graham Coughlin. We shared a coffee before the game that night, and he said them on the phone to him apologising. So they don't want to be apologising to managers. They want to look at the footage and go, referee's got that right. Referee's got it right. You know what? And when we do look at decisions, if the referee's got it right, complaint stop. We stop moaning about it. We stop talking about it. I tell the players, stop talking about it. It's a foul. It's a penalty. It's this. But we just don't want penalties against Stevenage Football Club that are just never penalties. And that seems to be the little in thing at the minute. Let's give a penalty.
We'll put that on one side.
Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, we'll put that on one side. I actually wanted to go back to Newport and talk about a few of the things I wanted to ask you after Newport, but didn't get the chance. Kane Smith made his first start in what seems like a long time, and I thought he had a really good game. Yeah,
I thought Kane was great. You know, we've said to Kane for such a long time that he's been very, very unlucky. And he's been very unlucky in the sense that Luther Wilden has been outstanding, simply outstanding. And Kane came in a couple of weeks ago and he says, can have a chat about not being in the team. And he's a lovely young man, conducts himself properly, real good professional. And he comes in and he's open lines with us. Well, I know some of the reason I'm not in the team is because Luther's been very good. Well, that's the reason. But we said to him, keep training. Luther's form will dip, because it always dips with different players. It will dip at some time, or you'll get a knock or something will happen and you'll get your opportunity. And be ready. He's trained like a little, even for the last 10 days, 2 weeks, waiting for his, knowing it would come. And it came. I thought it was very good.
Second half as well was, like we said on Tuesday, was much better. The balance and shape of the team seemed right, and a lot of that seemed to be down to Jake Forster-Caskey coming in. You said you didn't start him because of the intensity of the match against Bradford. Will his performance on Tuesday have changed, do you think, in that respect? Yeah,
listen, I think there's a difference of coming on at half-time and playing 45 minutes and having that intensity and that nature to a good 25-minute, 30-minute thorough inducive warm-up to then get into the game. And we just felt Jake hadn't had 90 minutes in a long time. He was for me, if not our best player, one of our best players against Bradford. And then the conclusion was on Tuesday night, we considered all things and we thought we might need him half an hour to go with the quality he's got, with the ability he's got. It turns out we needed him sooner, but Jake came on and gave us that composure. His quality is undoubted. He can pass the ball, he can move. And we said he'd be a big signing for us, but we had to get him up to speed. He'll quickly come up to speed now. To do a 90 against Bradford on Saturday, 45 at Newport will have brought him a million miles forward.
And just finally, on the injury side, you've mentioned the challenge on the goalkeeper. What's the latest on that? He's
gone for a scan this morning. It's quite a horrendous challenge. So he had some X-rays done yesterday. We're waiting on the results. If it's a problem, then we'll go into the market. We've got permission from the Football League to go into the market if Yogi's going to be out. And I did say to the referee before I left Newport afterwards in his room, I hope this is not a problem for us on Wednesday and Thursday. I just hope it's not a big problem for us because the challenge is shocking. And it's, I'll say this about the referee at Newport. He's a very honest kid. He's a very honest guy. When I went in, there was none of the shenanigans we had against Bradford and at Stoke when they want to talk down to you. It was a fair level conversation. He gave his explanations and we said we'll review it. And I know that when Ollie reviews some of the footage, he'll be hurting by some of his decisions because he come across as a real good young professional. He is one that group of Mike and Alan and the coaches, Andy and other guys, they'll work with him and make him much better. But our concern is for Yogi, but he'll go off with Matty shortly and then by 1-2 o'clock we'll know whether we're in the market or not.
Well, even if you have to go into the market, you've got Adam Brisbeck, who came on second half and did all right.
Pleased for Adam. He's a young man. That's his Football League debut, actually. But he's got some really good Football League experience in terms of being a number two and being around it and seeing how it works. He's got a number of National League appearances. There's not, if you looked at Wrexham and Notts County and Chesterfield, they would grace League Two, weren't they? So he's got good experience at National League level. And it was good. I thought everything he had to do, he did very well. So his kicking was good. He's talking behind the back. I was asking the captain on Tuesday on the way back, how was the communication behind you? And he said it was good. So from that point of view, we get no issues there. But we obviously need more than one goalkeeper. I've spoken to a couple of managers higher up than us yesterday. Both have made goalkeeping options available to us if we want to go into the market. So before our fans get concerned, you can be believed that if Yogi's a problem, by tea time we'll have announced something.